Sergio Leone is well known for his stylish and bloody spaghetti westerns. This genre was depicted in recent film Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where Leonardo DiCaprio's character, faced with diminishing roles in Hollywood, goes to Italy to make westerns in Italy. Sergio Leone's final and most ambitious film was paying tribute to another well-respected Hollywood staple, gangster movie. Once Upon a Time in America, with its name being a reference to Leone's previous Once Upon a Time in the West, is a gangster film with highest production values and an amazing cast, but it still has roots in what came before, like Warner Brothers classics of the 1930s to The Godfather in the 1970s. Sergio Leone's comment about the film was, "My film was to be an homage to the American films I love, and to America itself." The film stars Robert De Niro as David Noodles Aaronson. One of the greatest dramatic actors of his time, Robert De Niro was joined by James Woods, who received some recognition in The Way We Were and got some notice in David Cronenberg's Videodrome. The rest of the gang was made of Patrick "Patsy" Goldberg played by James Hayden and Philip Cockeye Stein played by William Forsythe. Other characters include Fat Mo Jelly, Larry Rapp, their loyal friend, and his sister, Deborah Jelly, Elizabeth McGovern, the love of Noodles' life. In this film, majority of the gangsters are Jewish rather than Italian. This doesn't so much add or take away anything from the story, but it does give the characters and the film different cultural grounding. In smaller roles are Joe Pesci as Frankie Minoldi, and Jennifer Connelly in her big screen debut as the young Deborah. Ennio Morricone provided the music for the film. Part of what gives America its ambitious quality is its scope. By the end of filming, Sergio Leone had 8 to 10 hours worth of footage. Leone originally planned to make 2 3-hour films, then a single 269-minute version, but was convinced by distributors to shorten it to 229 minutes. Producers were terrified of their film having similar fate to commercial and critical failure of Bernardo Bertolucci's two-part 1900. For the American release, cuts were made to 2 scenes involving sexual violence and some of the more graphic violence at the beginning. The film received a mediocre reception at several sneak premieres in North America. Because of this early audience reaction, the fear of its length, its graphic violence, and the inability of theaters to have multiple showings in one day, the decision was made to make many edits without the supervision of Sergio Leone. The American-wide release of only 139 minutes was dramatically different from the European release, as the non-chronological story was rearranged into chronological order. Other major cuts involved many of the childhood sequences, making the adult 1933 sections more prominent in the film. Noodles' 1968 meeting with Deborah was cut, and the scene with Bailey ends with him shooting himself rather than the garbage truck conclusion of the 229-minute version. The shortened version was a critical and commercial flop in the United States, and critics who had seen both versions harshly condemned the changes that were made. Of course, Once Upon a Time in America is now restored to its glorious 4-plus-hour runtime. The film is based on Harry Gray's novel The Hoods, and follows the journey of 4 young men as they ascend the ranks of New York's ruling criminal class, with all the loves and losses and friendships and fights in between. The story is indeed a sprawling one, and it has the familiar rise and fall structure that fits the gangster film so well. And as we are enjoying watching the young hoods rise in the world, we also know that their downfall is coming soon. As the film begins and we see Noodles in his older age, we are aware that he will make it to the old age, but the big question is how and what happens in between. In this film, Sergio Leone's western landscapes of sands and blazing sun are gone and have been replaced by cold, wet asphalt. Towering skyscrapers and bridges now house his outlaws. As the film ends, we feel as if we have traveled in time and shared the life of his characters. Once Upon a Time in America was a project of love for the 55-year-old Sergio Leone. Supposedly he turned down a chance to direct The Godfather in order to work on this film. The film ended up being his last project as he passed away just 6 years later. If you like this video, please subscribe and like this video. Also please check out my other videos.